there, once again YouTube, to my second Transformers review of the day. This is going to be another one from my auto assembly haul, and this was one of the most expensive. In fact, it's also one of the rarest figures I got whilst I was there. This handsome chappie is the Decepticon Pretender, Buggly. And you know, Pretenders, they are generally lambasted by the Transformers community. They're about a fraction of a step above Action Masters, insofar as most Transformers fans are concerned. I know that they're shit. I know that the toys are largely shit, particularly the inner robots, but you know what? I like Pretenders. I don't know what it is about them, but I want all of these guys. I like them a lot. And Buggly is something of an exception in that his Pretender shell is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's got loads of details all over it. Like, for example, these interesting things that are articulated, they actually move, his antennae. He also has little fly wings connected to his back. They don't do anything, but they're a very, very nice detail. I also like the fact that he's asymmetrical. He's got a claw on one hand and a normal fist on the other. That is rather nice. It's a gorgeous piece of work, this Pretender shell. And like all Pretender shells, is basically a statue. The antennae removed, the arms will go up and down, and that's basically it. The whole gimmick for the Pretenders was that they were supposed to be Transformers with organic outer shells that you could use as extraneous figures. There's a robot inside of this that is the Pretender's true self, if you like. The Pretender shells are partially organic and are, in the Dreamwave continuity anyway, it is hinted at that they are the precursors, along with Micromaster technology, these are the precursors to the Beast Wars Transformers. As so far as Buggly goes specifically, Buggly is a brilliant character. He is one of the more bizarre Transformers in the G1 continuity. He is an advocate of the darker arts in the Transformers universe. He has a mystic quality to him and believes that all Transformer life is somehow inherently linked, and that this knowledge allows him a certain measure of control over the sparks of other Transformers. He's also, like Bludgeon, a practitioner of one of the various martial arts that exists in Transformers lore. I believe the one that he practices is just the abominably, ridiculously named Circuit Sue. Yeah. Apparently it's one of the less physical martial arts. It's to do with meditation and focus, and he can use it to generate fireballs that he can actually launch from his Pretender shell, which is rather nice. He also believes that he can use it to read minds and to control the minds of other Transformers and so on and so forth. Interesting. He doesn't really do much in any continuity. His only significant appearance was in the Dreamwave War Within Dark Ages comic, where he formed part of a triptych with Bludgeon and Mindwipe, a sort of coven of Transformers dedicated to the dark arts, and he became one of the acolytes of the Fallen. Insofar as we are aware, it seems that he was perhaps destroyed, perhaps just critically wounded by, I believe it was Shockwave, who blasted the hell out of him. Now, the toy itself is great. I love this Pretender shell. It is definitely one of the more successful. In fact, I like these early Pretender shells a lot. They are great toys. They're very durable. The plastic's really, really dense. It doesn't look like a Transformer, obviously. It looks like something from another toy line, most definitely. Not very articulate, unfortunately. They are statues. You're not going to be able to get much playware out of this. But you know what? If I was a kid, that wouldn't concern me at all. I know I would just love this thing. Now, to transform it, you don't really transform these things, you just open them. He's got, like all of the Pretenders from this period, he's sealed with a belt. It just binds the two halves together. Just take off that belt, pull the statue in half, and there is the interior robot. And as the Pretender interior robots go, he's okay. He's not too bad at all. He's pretty nondescript. Purple and grey and yellow, interesting colour scheme. There's not much to him really. You can also take these guns from the Pretender shell and they fit quite nicely into his hands. And that's it. that's Bugley. He's kind of like all the Pretender robots. He's the same basic design. He's kind of gangly and long and tall. It's quite nice, actually. Not a bad robot mode. Sort of like he looks very much like a generic Cybertronian of the kind you might have seen in the background of one of the Transformers episodes at some point. The real issue with this guy and with all the Pretenders is in the lazy ass transformation. You have never seen transformations so lazy as these. I don't need to speed this up at all, because it doesn't really transform into anything. It doesn't resemble anything in particular. It's supposed to be some sort of air skimmer thing, but it really doesn't work. It just looks a mess. And there it is. Yeah. Doesn't look like anything, does it really? It's the robot folded up. There's its head sticking out of the back, there's its fists. It doesn't transform, this thing. None of the Pretenders do. They're all basically the same. It's the same basic transformation. The only thing distinguishing this guy is that he does have some redundant details, which is kind of nice for a Pretender. He has these fins that come up out of his arms, which is kind of nice, really. You do not get that level of detail with the other Pretender toys. But he's alright. He's not too bad. I keep him in his Pretender shell, obviously, because the robot is just not worth anything. Not from a collector's point of view anyway. As a kid, this would have been enormously exciting, I'm sure. In fact, I know it would have been. I'd have loved it. When I was a kid, I would have loved this thing. And I do still love it to a certain degree now. But unfortunately, I cannot prevent my critical faculties from coming to the fore and realising what a lazy ass job the designers have done with it. And they really have. This is one of the laziest Transformers you are likely to come across outside of the Action Masters, I'm afraid. But nevertheless, it's a nice collector's piece, and they're difficult to get a hold of, these things. I mean, this cost me a lot of money. And they will set you back a reasonable amount, because they're just so rare. They're very, very tricky to get a hold of complete, especially these ones that always had all sorts of extraneous bits that could come off. I mean, you can take the antennae off, you can take those off, you can take the belt off and the guns, and it's very difficult to find them complete. I would like a complete Pretender squad, all of the Pretenders from this period, but that's going to be rather problematic for the time being. So yes, Pretender Bugley. It depends on what your tastes are in Transformers, really. If you're a completist, or if you like Transformers from this era, as I do, then pick him up. If not, then he's very, 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 very difficult to recommend.